The Book of Clarence didn't get a fair shot in theaters. It should have been a blockbuster, but hopefully it'll become a cult classic. Plus, it has one of my favorite fight scenes that breaks away from a typical trope. But before we get into the fight, we gotta understand the fighter. We meet Clarence and his boy Elijah as they're racing against Mary Magdalene in Jerusalem, and it's a close race, and they got it on Mary. They out here whipping work on the corners until they get into a certain territory where they get ambushed, and it seems like Mary had something to do with that as well, because after she wins the race, they see her paying the folks off. Clarence was counting on that money to pay back Jedediah the Terrible, who he borrowed money from and has yet to pay back, and it's been a long number of days. I'm talking like CVS receipt long. The best he can do is go and beg for his life again to Jedediah, and just as they're about to leave to go down, they see the apostles of Jesus rolling up with that shit on. And what is that shit? That shit is swag, aura. And then they see him, who the hymns are about him, Jesus of Nazareth. They're stunned. Elijah says, "Oh my God," and Clarence tells him no. God doesn't exist, but he does. Clarence doesn't go based off of belief. He goes based off of what he can see, because what he can see, what he can prove is what he knows. So knowing to him is stronger than believing. But you can best believe or best know Jesus of Nazareth and the apostles, no one messes with them. They out here protected. Elijah's like, man, I want to be that one day. Clarence is like, I want to be that now. We see that Clarence's brother, his twin brother, Thomas, is one of the apostles. And when he goes over to greet him, his brother's just like, yeah, what's up? Peace be unto you and all that. Get out of here, disbeliever. Here we see the disconnect between the two. Clarence says, yo, I believe in life itself, while you pray to a God you've never even met in the sky. Thomas says, yo, you talking that blasphemy. Clarence tells him, all right, cool. Introduce me to Jesus then. Let me see one of his miracles up close. Thomas tells Clarence why. So we can see that my twin brother is a disbeliever, a peddler of stolen goods, someone who pushes ungodly herbs, a nobody. Man, listen, I done had it out with my siblings, but we ain't ever talked to each other like this. And you see that shit hit Clarence. It hits him way different. And he gets in his brother's face telling him, I'm not a nobody. Thomas tells him a man that lacks honor is a nobody. And then he walks away. We see Elijah come over and say, just because you're twins doesn't mean he's your brother, my brother. And we see what Clarence was holding back. And he's like, before he went to go join the apostles, he left us while my mom was still on her deathbed. But I'm the one without honor. I do love the juxtaposition of this, because when he gets home and he's with his mom, she doesn't see him as a nobody. In fact, she's giving him a scarf to give to the girl that he likes. The mom is telling Clarence, yo, give this to Verinia as a gift. I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to make sure you don't die a virgin. He's like, I'm not a virgin. She's like, hey, what you do behind that curtain at night, all right, that don't count. Clarence is like, fuck, that ain't me. That's the local rats. And he's also like, Mom, my weed? And she's like, helps my glaucoma. But it's important here because we see their family dynamic, and we learned that she was on her deathbed, but the one that helped her and brought her back to life was Clarence. He stayed with her, while Thomas was the one that left to join Jesus and the apostles. And he brings it up too, because, you see Thomas kind of like looks down on him. Even though they're having a good time, Clarence looks around and he sees the poverty they're living in. Like there's mice around like that, and it's all dusty and everything. And he's telling his mom, one day I'm going to get you out of here. I'm going to get you a big home. He's promising her this. And she tells him home is where you're happy. And she's happy here with him. Clarence is like, man, you're going to be happy here with a son that like struggles to provide for you. Another one that's out there following a false prophet. The mom doesn't hold any ill will towards her older son. And she's telling Clarence, yo, he's following what he must. And we got to, we got to love him just as he is. And Clarence tells her, hey, I love you. And the biggest message she gives her son here is like, yo, just be able to hold space. Clarence goes to give Verinia the gift and also ask her if maybe her brother can go light on him not having to cast, since her brother is Jedediah the Terrible. And there's a beautiful moment of them like just flirting with each other, and her saying to him like, yo, the crowd you run with, you're the village mischief. I can't be with somebody like that. And he tells her, okay, but then why do your eyes flash red when you look at me? And why do mine flash sapphire blue when I look at you? And it's a dope effect of you seeing that occur as well. And she asks Clarence, what are you trying to prove? Why do you always go out and do these things? I could do an entire breakdown on this like love dynamic alone, but that's another video. However, he does go to Jedediah, and Jedediah is not giving him any leeway. He's like, yo, you better have my fucking money. I ain't playing with you. And it's funny because we see Verinia go and visit Clarence's mother, and she's like, I know you didn't come all this way just to thank me for a headscarf, so what is it? And she tells her like, yo, Clarence is a giant that thinks himself an ant. He's an eagle that thinks himself a worm. Why does he think so less of himself that he has to go out and do like these grand schemes? And Clarence's mother tells Verinia, hey, just accept him as someone that's gonna go out and venture where most folks don't. But also hold on, because he's gonna jump off that cliff and he's gonna catch that cloud. Speaking of clouds, while getting high, Clarence had this idea to get out of his debt with Jedediah and become protected. He's going to become the 13th apostle. We then see Clarence go and visit the apostles, and then he tells them, I want to become the 13th apostle. And there's a pause in the room. And they all start laughing at this man hard, embarrassingly. They are cracking up at this man, and we see one dude come out from the shadows clapping at what Clarence talked about, and it's Judas. Judas is like, oh, okay, Thomas, this is your brother we hear about. Oh, he looks just like you and not like you at the same time. Clarence is telling them, yo, look, if you would stop laughing enough, perhaps I can give you my pitch and tell you like, yo, it takes a lot of y'all, a lot of us to spread the word of, of the Messiah. And who better than me? I got the cobblestones on lock. Clarence is telling them he knows what it takes. Thomas cuts him off by saying, you know what it takes, but you don't possess what it takes. And what he's lacking is generosity, selflessness, putting others' needs before his own. Clarence looks at him and tells him, did you put mother's needs before your own when she was on her deathbed and you left to join them? Don't tell me I'm a bad person. I'm just dealing with the cards I was dealt. This movie really represents the tension between like those representing the church and those outside of the church. That holier than thou shit. And I love that Clarence finally speaks up here and is telling his brother like, yo, the one that stayed and took care of mom was me while you were out here doing this shit. Do they know that shit? Is that something you talk about? Judas, man, I see why he was a snake. He has the idea of, okay, if he wants to change the perception of how people see him, he'll do something like free the gladiators from Asher the torturer. I mean, of course, he'll be killed, but at least we'll know he's not all about himself. I do like it. There's an apostle that sticks up for Clarence. He's like, yo, who have you freed? You're going to pass judgment on this man and you don't even know him. Judas is like, that's not what I'm saying. What I said was he should do something like freeing the slaves. Clarence accepts because Judas said it couldn't be done. It means he has to do it. Clarence rolls up on Asher the torturer and we see all the gladiators fighting and Asher telling everybody, hey, fight harder. Even with wooden swords, we aim to kill. Asher then sees Clarence and Elijah and he walks over to them asking, who are you and how do you wish me to react to the news you're about to give me? Cold. Elijah saying, okay, well, I'm Elijah, this is Clarence, and we were sent by Judas. Clarence cuts him off. Nah, we were sent by Jesus. Asher's like, Jesus of Nazareth. The dude walking around saying he's a Messiah. What does he want with me? Clarence tells him, well, he asks that you would release your slave gladiators to us. Asher's like, do you know how much that would cost me? 20 slaves? What? And Clarence tells him, well, the idea is you would, do this for free to take the burden off your mind of all these, horrors. Asher seems like he's considering things. He's like, okay. Clarence talking to Elijah like, oh, this is easy. Asher then turns around and says, everybody, I will free you all right now if you beat these two men to death with your bare hands. All the gladiators drop their swords. Clarence is like, hold on, wait, what's happening? Asher then has everybody stop and say, oh, hold on. This is a bit unfair. If you can go toe-to-toe with my best gladiator, Barabbas the Immortal, and you can beat him, I'll release him to you. Clarence tries to get out of it by saying, yo, I don't believe that that's evening the odds. And it's just like, I know, but I'm trying to see a kill today, baby. I love this scene because here Clarence is being called on, well, not really the bluff, but on his word. Okay, you want to free these slaves. Put your life on the line then. And it's a question of, okay, he could do that or he could just walk away. The next shot, we see him, gladiator helmet on, walking out to the arena, no back down in him. Clarence is fully committed to the task that was asked of him. I feel like that's an important detail for his character because he tried to talk his way out of it. It didn't go that way. He could just cut and run, cut his losses. He didn't do that. He went and faced the challenge head on. And you see him grab up that wooden sword. And he's like, it's out of here. All right. Where's Barabbas? What's going on here? And they take this dude from out the hole in the ground. Like my man was the old school. Like he was the blueprint for Bane. Nah, the way Barabbas stood up with that mask down. Like, yeah, I'm here. You asked for the thunder. Here comes the lightning with it. And Clarence, no fear, staring at this man like, There he is. Asher then gives the rundown on Barabbas. He has never been bested. He claims he's immortal, and they're inclined to believe him. And he also fashions himself a revolutionary. This man wants to see Rome up in flames. And Barabbas wants to bring down Rome solo, on his own. Hey, dude's real. Asher tells Clarence, if you can defeat this thorn in my side, I'll release him to you. And Barabbas, you better fucking fight to kill this dude, because if you don't, I'm going to test your immortality with my own sword. Barabbas is like, all right, cool. Takes off his helmet, looks at Asher, tells him, those who are about to die, raises his hand, we salute you. We then see Clarence stand aside, raise his hand to salute, then deck this dude across the face. Barabbas cannot believe this. She's like, what the fuck? He's like, you hit me unprovoked. And Clarence is just jogging around, getting ready to rumble, telling him, hey, look alive. The way I was shocked, because I figured he was just like, the witty guy. He doesn't really know how to fight. But the way he's bouncing around in his fighting form, no. He knows how to throw hands. And just when I was thinking that it still might be a lucky shot, we see Clarence throw his hands up, close the distance bit by bit with Barabbas. And when Barabbas throws that first shot, my man counters by blocking that big swing. He gives that man a quick jab to the ribs, and Barabbas is down to a knee like, what is this about? Clarence is bouncing around like, this is it. This is the best you got. You serious? Just as Clarence was about to tell Barabbas, you can do better than that, Barabbas trips him up with one hand, then big boots this man into the fucking wall. That looked like the big boot the Undertaker had in SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. That shit was mean. Barabbas meant that shit, but Clarence pops back up like, all right, cool. And we see Barabbas grab the sword, the Roman gladius. Clarence does the same. Clarence is over here, got the skill with the gladius, so my man is just hot potatoing the sword between both hands. Barabbas walks up on Clarence, mad confident, and starts swinging on this man, but he can't touch him. Barabbas is strong. You can hear the wind on them strokes, but he's not able to touch Clarence. He's too slow. Clarence is dancing around Barabbas' swings. Clarence is taking his time and waiting for the opening to strike. And when he does, my man got the Achilles form. He throws two swings up top for Barabbas before going down and nailing him in the knee. My man got a fight IQ like Bret the Hitman Hart. He's a technician with it. Barabbas goes for a strike and Clarence has to block it with both hands on his sword. Once Clarence sees Barabbas drawing the sword back, he hits him 2 times in the face with a sword handle in hand, the equivalent of holding a roll of quarters while throwing a punch, and Barabbas is unfazed. Clarence is like, the fuck is this about? Barabbas is eating these punches like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. And he looks at Clarence like, you done? Cool. Here comes the pain. My man swings that sword and you see Clarence throw the sword behind his back to block the shot. Beautiful. Please note the attention to detail. Clarence blocked the shot not with the blade down flat, but with it up. That took timing and precision and confidence, because one wrong move, he would have got cleaved in two, because Barabbas is mad strong. Barabbas is looking impressed like, okay, but what are you going to do now? And we see Clarence spin out using momentum to try and swing on Barabbas. Barabbas catches his arm. He's like, all right, you know it's not going to be fun anymore now, right? You know what's going to happen now. Punches this man square in the chest, sending him flying to the wall again. You gotta love the fight IQ on Clarence, because he realizes, all right, I'm not winning an in-fight here. So he switches it up. Goes for a long-range weapon. He grabs a net. My man ninja rolls in like Jinsakai and gets that shit cracking by slapping that net across Barabbas' face. Now, I said he did the Jinsakai roll, but he's moving like Atsu with the Kusarigama. Clarence is literally whipping work and working Barabbas at the same time. He is spinning with that net to put stank on them hits, and he gets that distance. He's like, all right. I'm gonna do it again. He goes for it again, nails Barabbas across the face. But Barabbas has a good fight IQ too, and he's patient as well, because once Clarence throws that net out again, Barabbas catches it. He pulls Clarence in and tries to sweep the legs. Clarence jumps him. He goes high. Clarence ducks. Clarence is out here moving like he's Ninja Gaiden. My man rolls up behind Barabbas, got the net tangled up on him for a choke, puts his knee in his back and is pulling back. He is choking this man, just to find out he is not choking this man, because Barabbas looks back at him like, you finished? Clarence drops the net. Barabbas takes the net off him, drops the sword, walks up on Clarence, and Clarence looks like a deer in headlights, and Barabbas stares at him, then throws his hand out to grab him. You see this man, Clarence, duck under the arm like Swerve Strickland and give this dude an uppercut, but he does it so hard that it just hurts his own hand, and Barabbas is still fine. Clarence is in pain, and Barabbas is looking at him like, hey, this is happening now. Slaps the fuck out of him so hard that his ears are ringing. Clarence is rattled, and he can hear the concussion hitting Mariah Carey level high notes, and he gets that helmet off because it alleviates some pressure, and he's looking at Barabbas like, all right, wait, just Just you wait. Clarence gets the sword and they're back at it, and Barabbas is raining down these shots from overhead, just backing and backing down Clarence, who's not in the right frame of mind yet. We see Clarence close his eyes trying to shake off the concussion. When he opens them, Barabbas is nowhere to be seen. And when Clarence tries to find Barabbas, he finds him in his blind spot, and Barabbas lets him know, yeah, I'm here, and he gives him an undercut swing with his sword. Luckily, Clarence is able to block it, but it doesn't really do that much good because it breaks in half, lifting this man into the air. Barabbas made this man hit Christ air from the Tony Hawk series, broke this man's sword in two. It's one thing to get lifted. It's an entirely another thing to get lifted and be spread eagle. Clarence ain't a believer, so he ain't got the Holy Spirit knocked out of him, but he definitely got the wind knocked out of him. And Elijah's telling him, yo, get up. Now's not the time for rest. We see Barabbas go for the rope like he's doing an Irish rip. My man gets the net and just starts Petey Pabloing it. He plans to trap Clarence in the trap before killing him. Clarence looks around, notices the sun behind Barabbas, and he says, okay, got an idea. He goes for his broken sword, then looks for the sun again to get it reflecting off his sword and right into Barabbas' eyes. Barabbas gets blinded, and by the time the net falls and he goes to stab it, Clarence isn't there. And we see Clarence come out of Barabbas' blind spot, flipping over his back with his broken sword to Barabbas' throat. Barabbas is like, oh, you're good. Clarence tells him, you're free. Clarence just did the impossible by beating the best gladiator that Asher the torturer had. But Asher's pissed off. He's trying to go back on the deal. Barabbas is like, yo, is Asher the torturer not a man of his word? Give me my freedom. Give me my freedom. Asher's like, after all the things I've done for you? And Clarence tells Asher, yo, I don't want him. I came to free all of them. The mission was to free all of the slaves. Not one. Asher's in a hard place right now. And he tells Clarence, you can have Barabbas then. Barabbas thanks Clarence for his freedom and asks him, where did you learn to fight like that? Clarence tells him, where you're from, you fight by rules. Where I'm from, we fight to survive. It's a big difference. Barabbas thanks him again and tells him, hey. Beating me and killing me are two different things. I'm immortal. When Clarence goes back to the apostles, we see Judas there doing that slow clap again because he can't believe it. He's like, wow, you actually freed a slave. Barabbas said that. I can't believe it. I didn't think you had it in you. And we see Clarence snap because he put his life on the line and he's got his hands around Judas like, yo, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck are you thinking, man? Yo. But that's what Clarence wanted to do, not what he did. Instead, Clarence just says, yeah, well, anyway, gotta be an apostle now. Thomas then asks to see him alone. Thomas tells Clarence, hey, I love you. I love you like I love the Lord himself, but you will never be one of us. You are destined for nothing but failure. And I would stop following the Messiah before I asked him to let you be one of us. I don't even want you to change your ways. Just disappear. I don't want the reminder of you. And this shit is crazy to me because this man just freed the mightiest gladiator with his life on the line. And all he gets is a, good job. Okay, like, are you the fuck? And now his brother telling him that he's destined for nothing, to be a failure, to just go off and disappear. The hypocrisy is crazy. Hearing this, Clarence tells Thomas, I need you to remember, you're the one that left Mother and I. Don't interrupt me. You never appreciated us or where we come from. And I bet your Messiah doesn't even know you have a mother that you don't even acknowledge or talk to. And the best part is the way he gets in Thomas's face and tells him, honor thy father and thy mother. I love this lining between the believer and the non-believer because, man, that fucking holier than thou shit, like that judgment from an apostle who's supposed to not judge, to bring all into the flock, but nah, that gatekeeping. The representation of that gatekeeping is amazing in this film because, again, when Barabbas was defeated, Clarence told Asher, yo, I didn't come to free one, I came to free all. He put his life on the line to do it. I understand the motive was to save his life, but he could have saved his life by not fighting at all and losing it. But he still went with it. And in the end, okay, you could have just took the win, but nah, the deal's for everybody, baby. Clarence isn't a believer, but his words and his actions are showing that he's still a good fucking person. And he's a good person when it matters. It's just that there's none of the apostles around to see it, which shouldn't really affect that though. His brother being an apostle and shutting him away makes it easy to see why Clarence then got the idea of, okay, if I can't join the apostles, I'm going to go around performing miracles of my own. and I'll say I'm the new Messiah, and I'll get rich that way. Again, I don't think this film got the credit or the time or the fucking spotlight that it deserved. I love this movie so much, and I am not a religious person. I was in high school. My mom woke me up for communion one day, and I was fed up. I was like, yo, I can get my own damn juice and crackers. But the story of how Clarence comes from being a non-believer to being someone that can not believe in God, but know God it's a beautiful thing. And hey, give me a reason, and I'll love to talk more about it.